All right, we are live. So, welcome back to the Linux Tech and Gaming Podcast. This is episode 3. We've been doing this for longer. I think we've been doing it for about 5 weeks now, but we only have 3 episodes because I had some in real life stuff come up on a Wednesday, couldn't do it, and then I don't know if we just missed last week or what happened, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we had started 5 weeks ago. But anyway, so we're at episode 3 here, and we have some topics to talk about. And why don't we? I guess we'll just continue and do what we always do with the intros in the beginning. I'm Ubu, the tech guru. I'm coming straight at you. I have a YouTube channel. Obviously, you're watching it. You're listening to the podcast on it. But I also have Twitter, which is at Ubuntu Addicted. I have Google+, Facebook, all the usual social media sites, and it's either Ubuntu Addicted or Ubu the Tech Guru. And next we have Osiris. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm Osiris. I have a Twitter where it's the easiest way to find me, at Osiris, O-S-I-R-E-Z. Do the URL in Google. You'll have to just find the link for my YouTube channel, so just look for Osiris. I'm pretty sure there's not too many of them in the world.
All right, Atomic?
Yeah. I'm the Atomic Ass, and you can find me on Twitter at the Atomic Ass, and I am on YouTube, and I occasionally stream, but I haven't picked which site I actually want to stream to yet.
Yeah, I hear you.
I've streamed to YouTube, Hitbox, and Twitch. But I also do a series about testing games that run on Linux, which I post to my YouTube channel.
All right. Well, you know what? Why don't we actually delve into that topic just briefly here to start out the podcast as far as live streaming our gameplays to the interwebs. And you mentioned the 3 main ones, which are Hitbox, Twitch, and YouTube. And, as of lately, the Linux community has really been bombarded with GUI-driven streaming applications. We have 3 that I can think of right off the top of my head. We have Simple Screen Recorder. We have OBS-Studio, which is a rewrite of the original OBS, and it is now compatible on Linux. Unfortunately, it's not working with the Intel graphics driver. That Atomic has found that out.
I think that's all of the open source drivers, not just Intel.
Okay, all right. And then we also have the other one, I want to say, is... Shoot, Atomic,
Screen
you got
Studio?
Yeah, Screen Studio.
Okay, you got that on the tip of your tongue there. So Screen Studio is another option, and that actually is a Java-based GUI, which I haven't tested in a while, so I'm not sure on its capabilities. But last I had tested it, it seemed to work pretty well, and it did have, you could place your webcam, in either of the 4 corners of your screen. You could change the size of the webcam. It could do screen capture, window capture, or region capture, I believe. And it worked pretty good. It's basically just a GUI front end for FFmpeg. Well, basically they all are. But I would like to point out the main, difference that I think sets Simple Screen Recorder apart from the other ones is the fact that he has some type of synchronization code within his application to ensure that the video and audio streams are always synchronized. And that's huge, with live streaming, because if you're playing a game, and your character on screen like shoots a gun, and then all of a sudden your viewer sees it 2 seconds after he hears it 2 seconds after he visually saw it, that can be pretty off-putting to the viewer. So, I have tried. I was using OBS Studio just recently, and Atomic, you were watching, and Osiris, you might have been watching. I was streaming The Witcher 2, and you guys had made a comment that the webcam audio was in sync with my mouth, but the game audio was out of sync with the game. And so, I don't know. Hopefully, OBS Studio, I know on their forums they mentioned that they believe it's a pulse audio bug, and that could very well be. But the three main sites to stream to, like I mentioned, are great. But the one that obviously has the largest population of viewers is going to be Twitch. And I'm sure YouTube is pretty close behind that. I don't really know about their live viewers, but obviously YouTube's got a huge community, in viewers for still videos or for pre-recorded stuff. But I don't know about their live audience. Does YouTube really have any type of place to look at all live events?
There's a way to track. There's a way to search through live events, but it's not something that's easily found.
Okay.
You have to kind of dig through it.
Right. So one of the things that Atomic and I have mentioned in the past, and I'm sure Osiris has too, or maybe not, I'm not sure, but is the lack of the community on Hitbox. Now, Hitbox, is a great service. They provide really good service as far as I'm concerned, because the amount of delay between the viewer and the streamer is, like 5 seconds. It's almost nil, and that makes it great for interacting with your viewers, which is a huge part of live streaming. And Twitch has a very low delay as well, but that's only for partnered streamers or live streamers. So, if you're not partnered and you're just a kind of a no-name person starting out, and you go on Twitch, you're never going to show up on the front page with your game, because you're going to be so buried amongst all these other gamers. I mean, Twitch is is just overrun with streamers, I would say. Don't you guys agree?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Plus, their method for finding streamers or content or whatever you want to call it is pretty terrible in my opinion. Hey, basically, all it does is sort by who has the most viewers, and which might not always be what you're looking for.
Realistically, Hitbox is experiencing the same problem right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm looking at Twitch right now. On the front page, I see featured games, and it lists the games and then how many total viewers are watching that particular game. Like, for example, The Sims 4 just recently came out. Currently, there's 22,500 viewers watching, Sims 4 streams. Obviously, those are viewers for every single person that's streaming Sims 4. So if you wanted to find a streamer that was playing Sims 4 that you could relate to, you'd click on that, and then you kind of rummage through the various live streamers in that respect to try to find somebody that you enjoyed watching. And then I go to Hitbox, and Hitbox actually is sorted. Their page is actually sorted by the amount of viewers watching the stream, so it's not even categorized into games. So I don't really know, which way is better, to be honest. It's actually kind of shocking looking at Hitbox. We have someone that's streaming and's got 379 viewers, and that's the first row. You scroll down like 3-4 rows, and you're already down to viewerships in the 15s, in the high teens and low 20s. So, man, I don't know what's better. What's your guys' opinion? Would you how do you? What's the benefit of each site's front page? Do you guys see any benefit in one or the other?
I don't know an answer to what's the best way to sort or present streamers are interesting streamers, but I know that this doesn't work, and it definitely doesn't work for the new guy. But as far as navigation goes, I think I prefer hitbox navigation just a little bit more because I feel like whenever I'm going through Twitch's navigation, like browsing videos, it's just screens and screens and screens of just almost seemingly irrelevant content. Like I might be looking for, say, League of Legends, and I don't know what's the difference between this streamer over here and this streamer over there. But I did know there was one site that I found that's brand new. That's another site actually that had live preview. So if you put your mouse over it, it would actually live preview what was going on in the stream.
Oh, what site is this?
And I knew you was gonna ask me that, and I'm not gonna remember that right now.
Oh, okay. I had seen somebody just tweeted out, or they were mentioning over Twitter, this new streaming site that they had also, and I was asking them, is your delay, like as good as hitboxes where it's almost nil? And, at first they didn't even understand my question. They're like, what do you mean delay? And I'm like, well, the amount of time between the viewer and the streamer, how much delay is there? And they were like, oh yeah, it's right around 5 to 10 seconds, and I can't remember the site either now that I mention it, unfortunately. But
yeah. I just think that Twitch has such a stranglehold on this type of new media that I don't think there's not going to be an easy way for anybody to really contend with that. Just kind of like YouTube. Like, there's not very much outside of YouTube.
Right. Well, and obviously, for those of you that are watching the show and didn't know this, but there was some news a while back that Google was actually going to purchase Twitch, and everybody got a shocker. At least I was shocked when it was found out that Amazon actually bought Twitch for close to $1 billion, $997 million. So whoever created Twitch is dancing in the money. Holy shit, dude!
And
I mean, what do you even do? You just get like a check that you could take to your bank that says 997 million? How the hell does that work? Holy fuck, dude!
But the great thing about the Amazon deal over the Google deal for the Twitch owner was that Google was going to outright just buy them out, and Amazon let all the management stay in place.
Okay.
They're not touching Twitch at all. They said Twitch will run as it has been running and will have all the same future plans that it has always had. So that's great for the Twitch owners also.
Yeah, I mean, I heard, obviously it's all just hearsay or rumor, but I heard one of the reasons that YouTube didn't end up going through with the purchase was because they couldn't agree on like the solution for handling copyrighted material. Twitch recently has been muting people's previous streams that had audio that was copyrighted, and people speculated that YouTube had already bought Twitch and that it was YouTube's algorithms that were starting to mute Twitch streams. But now that we know that Google did not purchase Twitch, we have to only speculate as to where they got some algorithm to determine which previous streams had audio that should be muted. So obviously there was something in the deal from Amazon that did require Twitch to probably make some efforts to clean up their copyrighted content on their website in order for Amazon to go ahead with the buy. That's my guess.
I didn't even think about that, but that is an interesting theory. I think Amazon purchased Twitch for the sole reason of advertising, and that is Google's thing also. I think they both wanted Twitch for the advertising viewership is the main reason. Well, at least that's what Amazon's saying.
Okay, so basically you're saying, like, if I just click on one of these Twitch streams, let me open it. You're saying that there's a possibility that there's ads Oh, well, yeah, okay. There's the ad right away. Yeah, you're right about that. Oh, and look at this. This one's actually an ad for Strife, which is a new MOBA game that Atomic and I had played last week.
You know what?
Late last week, we gave it a try.
I would not be surprised if it knew that you had somehow searched for that and then threw it up there for you.
Right, I'm sure it's probably built into the Google. I'm using Google Chrome, the browser, so I'm sure Google collected information that I played Strife somehow. Well, not only that, I clicked on a League of Legends live stream, so that'd be kind of weird that League of Legends would have a competitor's MOBA being advertised. But anyway, so now that I click on it, there's an advertisement over on the left side of the stream. So you're saying that space right there can be used by Amazon to advertise anything. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, that's
possibly.
That's possibly what's. I mean, not possible. I think that's definitely what's going to happen eventually. Similar to how Amazon, when you go to Amazon's webpage, if you scroll further down a product's webpage or site or whatever it is, you'll see comparable items. I think they're going to throw however they do their advertising and linking to that person and throw those advertisements up there. Not only that, I get Amazon emails, and it always knows what items I have been looking at recently, and always sends me a long list of those same items or similar items. So Amazon's pretty good at this too, at this advertising business, as Google, I think.
Yeah. And then looking at Hitbox, they do have like their first page it's live now, and like I said, it's sorted by the amount of viewers they have. But if you click on Browse, you can actually, for some reason, Popular is under Browse, which is basically the same thing that the main page is. All it is a list of the top streamers by viewership. Then you can click on Games, and that's where you can, click on a particular game that you wanted to watch. But I don't know. I guess we kind of got pretty far into this topic. I just wanted to mention it, the three various streaming sites, just because, obviously we're podcasting right now. We're using YouTube. We're using Google Plus Hangouts. It's convenient. It's easy. That's just what we kind of decided to do to begin with. But I live stream, to Hitbox. I've been trying to for probably since. It'll be coming up on a year probably pretty soon here. I think I started last year around October or November of 2013, and I only have, I think I have around 100 followers. That's it, and that's nothing. I think I have close to the same amount on Twitch, even though I don't even stream to Twitch. But I do have the account. I did create a Twitch account, obviously under Ubuntu Addicted, just like on Hitbox. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about the live streaming a little bit. We did mention the three GUI type apps for live streaming Linux gaming. Like I said, there's Simple Screen Recorder. Who just fired up Windows?
I heard that too.
That was me.
What the hell are you doing on a Linux podcast?
I'm reinstalling for someone else. And this was a format and reinstall. It was so bad.
Oh, yeah. Good old
That's
Windows.
the only kind of fixing I do nowadays on like XP or even up to 7. I'm not fixing a bunch of like weird issues that you can't even really track down. Then you got to download 3 apps to fix it. I'm just going to reinstall it.
Yeah, that's pretty much, when I have friends or clients come to me and they're like, oh, I click on a browser, and as soon as I open up the browser, it instantly opens up 3 tabs on this web page and this web page, and the default is search.us.com, and how do I fix all this? And I'd spend like an hour or two troubleshooting and reading various forums on how to remove these registry hacks and all this. Download this app, install malware, anti-malware bytes, and run it, and do this and do that, and it's like, you know what? Just if there's a recovery partition on this computer, I'm just gonna give you this back the way it was when you first bought it. How about that? $100. And the customer's always like, all right, fine. as long as I save all of their pictures and music and stuff off and put it back on, after I'm done reformatting, they're happy that I took care of the problem basically. But yeah, it's crazy the amount of infections and various spyware and malware that Windows users get. It's crazy.
When I give them my receipt, I put on the bottom, bro, do you even Linux?
Nice.
Oh, but you want to know what the best part about this is? The audio is the only thing that works. The graphics are in VGA.
Yeah.
The network card is not installed, and it's a laptop, so it has wireless and wired.
Yep.
And neither one works.
None of the drivers are built into Windows, right? Yeah. So you gotta. Yeah, that's always a pain in the ass. That's one thing I will say that Linux is advantageous over Windows is, if you put a fresh install of Windows on a PC and say it's a laptop and you don't have the Wi-Fi drivers already downloaded on a USB stick or on the hard drive, you're having to boot into another computer. Just so that you can go online to download the drivers from the manufacturer's website or the hardware manufacturer's website, whether it's Realtek, or whoever the popular network, adapter manufacturers are, Realtek and whoever else there is. You got to go there, download the driver, put it on a USB stick, then put it into the computer, install the execute or run the executable or whatever it is, and in Linux you don't have to do that. For most hardware, I will say Linux is really good about that. The drivers are usually right in the kernel. Most of the most popular hardware, it's right in the kernel, so you don't have to do any extra futzing around to get it up and running right away. That is an advantage. Well, that's pretty much kind of it. I went in pretty far into the whole live streaming in Linux, live streaming websites, talked about those, talked about the three applications that are used, that are graphical user interface based in Linux to live stream, your games. So why don't we get into the first topic here, and it is Borderlands 2 is coming to Linux. How do you guys feel about that?
Finally, I get to play it.
I like the whole movement of backporting the older games, because I don't know how much Valve has to do with this, but if and when these Steam machines get released and Steam OS gets some exposure, I don't want there to be no excuses about there's no games to play on Linux except for indie games.
Right.
This is excellent. I like to see Witcher 2. I like to see Borderlands 2. I like to see all these games. Even the older ones. I play the older ones. I still play Borderlands 2.
Yeah, I mean, us three, I was live streaming Borderlands 2 when us three were playing it. We had gone through and played a bunch of Borderlands 2 missions. We went through the whole game, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did.
I don't think we finished.
No, we weren't even halfway through.
Yeah, because I'm still playing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, we went and what?
I think by the time you beat the game, you should be like levels 50-ish the first time around. There's two playthroughs.
Well, what the hell? Why am I not streaming it anymore? I know I took a break.
That's a good
but
question.
I could have swore, yeah, what the fuck? Sundays. I used to stream it on Sunday mornings. Well, I got to get back to that now.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right, 9 a.m. this Sunday. Hitbox/Ubuntu Addicted. If Atomic's in, we got Osiris. We'll do some Borderlands 2. It'll be in Windows, sadly, but it is what it is. But no, this is awesome because back when Borderlands the pre-sequel was confirmed, Randy Pitchford from Gearbox told us not to get our hopes up for Borderlands 2. So we were happy that Borderlands the pre-sequel, was confirmed for Linux, and that's great. But now we have Steam database files have actually been updated with Borderlands 2 data, and it's and there's confirmation quotes from people that Borderlands 2 is definitely coming to Linux. They've been working hard on it for months, they say, and they'll talk about a release date as soon as possible. So that is just awesome, in my opinion. Now I wonder if, is Borderlands 2
Hey,
what?
guess what I just found in my Steam library?
Borderlands 2.
Yeah, and I've got my filter set to Steam OS and Linux, but there's no files there. You click install and it gives
You
you
might
a...
have to do a beta. That's what you have to do it for most of the Windows ports.
Yeah,
Have you tried
let's see, there are no betas.
Worth a shot. That's good though. At least it's there.
But on the plus side, another game that I have in my Windows only category just showed up.
Okay, what is it?
Don't leave us in suspense.
Yeah, really.
Braid.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot completely about that one.
Braid.
They just announced that they ported it not too long, like a week ago.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it was a very popular indie game when the indie scene first kind of blew up.
That's interesting that you're seeing it, Atomic, because I just did a search on my Steam library and it's not coming up under Linux Borderlands 2. But whatever. Anyway, it's confirmed. It's on the gamingonlinux.com website that it has been confirmed for coming to Linux. I'm kind of curious though, if it's a Steam game and the information is in the Steam cloud or whatever, are we going to be able to launch Borderlands 2 in Linux and have it have our progress be from where it was in Windows? That'd be something.
Usually that works, but there are some games that does not work in. And Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, is one game that I cannot get it to save my saves to the cloud, and also Civilization 5. If I play something on Windows and I play another game of Civ 5 on Linux, it won't coordinate those two.
Okay.
So yeah. I don't know if that's a Valve problem. I don't know if that's a development problem. I don't know what it is, but it's an issue that is definitely there.
Okay. All right. Well, that will be interesting to see, since we all three of us are playing Borderlands 2 currently, or we're playing it, or you guys are in Windows. So it'll be interesting to see if if our progress flows through to Linux when we fire it up. But so that's awesome news. I mean, even though Borderlands 2 is an older game, it's still really in the limelight because of Borderlands the pre-sequel. I thought it was called the prequel. But now it's called Borderlands the pre-sequel. But anyway, yeah, right. Borderlands the pre-sequel is coming to Linux, so that's great that it's going to be in the limelight and everything. And Borderlands 2 will also then come to Linux. So I can't wait, for both of these games. I know you guys mentioned that you weren't going to be buying Borderlands the pre-sequel right when it came out, just because you don't like paying full price. But I don't know. I mean, I might buy it at full price. How long? You guys have been PC gaming longer than I have, or at least I know Osiris has. How long does it usually take for PC games to go on sale, would you say, like a rough estimate?
From brand new, you're usually talking about a
6 months, or
not even that. I mean, with the Steam sales, it's usually right around then. So if a game comes out, say now, you can expect it to be on sale on a winter sale. It depends on the developer too, because they have the big developers have a lot of control over that. Like Call of Duty,
Gearbox is pretty big.
Goes on sale.
Right. Well, I know actually. I just saw Call of Duty recently had a huge thing. I thought I saw somebody mention on Facebook you could buy every single Call of Duty ever made for $200. I don't know how true that was. I didn't look into it, but I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I think that was true. It just all of the Call of Duty's Activision, or not Activision, whoever makes.
Yeah,
Call
it
of
is.
Duty.
It's Activision. Yep.
Okay, yeah, all the
publisher.
Activision COD titles went on sale like last week at the same time.
Okay.
But and that's a rare occurrence for them. Even during the huge summer and winter sales, that never happens. So
Yeah.
when it's those big developers, I think it's really up to the developer and Valve. I'm sure they have
Some say in it, sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Because they get a percentage of it, yeah. I just noticed that Thief is 66% off. Have either of you guys tried Thief?
I have not, and I'm not sure if it's something I want to get into.
Why
Plus,
is that?
you know, the
You don't
game
mind
just
me
didn't look
asking?
it hasn't looked interesting to me whenever I've looked at gameplay on YouTube.
Okay.
It's like a stealth, slow pace.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed, isn't
Yeah,
it? Or
yeah,
yeah.
something like that. Assassin's Creed's more, I think, action oriented. Like,
Not having to be so stealthy, right?
yeah. But I would definitely be. Actually, I was
I
looking.
mean, it's only $13 or $12. I might pick this up. I don't know.
Yeah, I would be willing to try Thief.
I mean,
I'm
it's
not
normally
opposed.
30, so
It's just not on my radar right now.
right. Yeah, I only saw it just because it was, you go right to the Steam featured, and it's right there on the right side. At least on mine, under Spotlight, it's on sale for 10. Oh, it's only 10. It's $10.19 right now, so that's pretty cool. But okay, so that was topic number one.
Oh, hold on, Gabe Noel in the chat says Thief is meh.
Thief is meh. Okay.
That coming from
Well,
Gabe Noel, so it must mean something.
Gabe Newell? Really? He's here watching the stream? What's up, Gabe? How are you doing?
Jackie Rod said he was supposed to get Thief free with his AMD card, but he didn't get it. So.
Oh, I hear actually from many people that they have issues redeeming their free games with their graphics cards. I've seen that mentioned before, where these game companies or publishers or whoever make it so you got to jump through hoops, take a left turn, jump down the hole, and then take a right turn, hold your breath for 10 seconds, and then you finally get the download link for the game. That's what I experienced with what game did I get with my GTX 760? Bioshock Infinite. Yeah, that was the one. Remember, because I thought I got it for free. I was like, what the hell? I want to buy Bioshock, but I already have it.
You got Assassin's Creed.
Okay, was it? Okay, it was Assassin's Creed. All right.
I think that might be an NVIDIA thing. But AMD does have its own confusion too, because what they do is they have a bin or a bucket full of games that are in tiers: gold, silver, and I think bronze. And you have a choice of those three, but that it's kind of confusing to new people, I guess, when they buy the card and they're like, okay, here are the games that you're offering, and they're thinking maybe I can get them all, or how many can I get, stuff like that. It definitely needs to be clarified.
Yeah. What I just noticed the comments. I just opened up the stream. Hello, Mr. Skywalker 365. Sorry I didn't say hi earlier. And hello to Gabe and Osiris. Those are the three viewers. Well, and me. So wait, maybe maybe we just got Gabe in here, and us two are watching it, Osiris. But anyway, moving on to the next topic. We have the next topic that I collected, if I can get to the damn sheet now, is The Witcher 2. We've kind of gone over this game in previous podcasts, but I just wanted to update everybody that The Witcher 2 is still receiving updates in a new round of a beta form, through Steam, that actually fixes a broken texture issue that the AMD Catalyst driver was experiencing, and they fixed that. And then they also did some changes to the memory management, so there's a much smaller reserve section used, which seems like a small thing, but based on some tests that were done, there's about a 14 frames per second increase on this particular person's rig that did the test. And I can honestly say that I was running The Witcher 2 with VOGL Perf, which is actually it's an OpenGL frames per second counter that kind of just counts your frames per second in the upper left corner of the game. And it was developed by Steam, and you can install it in Linux by you compile it and compile it from source code and install it that way. I actually created a YouTube video showing people how to install that, and it allows you to get your frames per second counted for any OpenGL game on Linux that exists. So it's great because Valve did a great job on a lot of their source games. You can just turn on the FPS counter, using the command line within the game or using the console within the game itself. You can just say like FPS on or whatever it is, and it'll show you the frames per second you're getting. But other games like The Witcher 2 and non-source games don't have that frames per second counter, enabled in the game. So you can install this secondary application called VOGL Perf, and it runs and somehow must capture the frames from the OpenGL driver or whatever, and it displays how many frames you're getting. And I was getting right around 50 frames per second on my GTX 760 with The Witcher 2, and that wasn't recording. I was just running the game and VOGL Perf. That's it. So that's pretty good improvement. So I think that's great that The Witcher 2 is still receiving updates, because I know a lot of the Linux gaming community were complaining about the port.
I have a feeling that not only is this good for Witcher 2, but this is probably pretty good for Witcher 3. I hate to say it, but I think more than likely they'll just do the same thing over again. As far as the Ian wrapper.
Oh, you think so? I mean, I suppose that'd be the easiest thing, and what greater opportunity than to perfect the Ian wrapper and whatnot with The Witcher 2 before The Witcher 3 comes out. They can hopefully nail down all these issues that the Ian wrapper's having with the various drivers in Linux, and get that squared away so that when Witcher 3 does come out for Linux, hopefully it runs natively, pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I just noticed? Did you guys click on the link that I provided for the article? Well, anyway, go to the link. It's on gamingonlinux.com's website. And if you look at the picture, he has some kind of purple FPS counter in the upper left corner that actually is showing his ACPI temperatures. It's showing his like motherboard, temp 1, temp 2.
It looks like Afterburner. That's how Afterburner's overlay look, or whatever it is that Afterburner uses in the back end.
Well, how the hell did he do that?
Liam, this is the guy who owns the site.
Right, I'm going to have to message him and ask him where the hell he got that, because when I ran VOGL Perf, which I thought was the only way to get a FPS counter in the game, I don't recall it looking like this, that's for sure. And it didn't show. It's got the cores of his CPU in there. He's got a quad core. Core 0, Core 1, Core 2, Core 3.
It's just pulling the direct information off of LM sensors.
Okay, that I can understand for the cores, but what about the frames per second?
I don't know what kind of
LM sensors doesn't. Yeah, LM sensors doesn't integrate with OpenGL.
Yeah, whatever he's using there is just pulling LM sensors.
You know what, though? You know what I think it is? I think it's a heavily modified version of whatever the tool is in Steam, or the Steam tool that you can actually use to display frames per second.
VOGL Perf. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen people on YouTube who have actually modified that to make it different colors, different sizes, and do different things. This might be some type of an extension to that.
Oh, that's
That would be
possible.
my guess, my first guess, because the reason I say that is because it's actually overlaying the game. There's not too many things in Linux that will overlay the game, so I don't think it's just like some random new app.
All right. Huh.
Yeah, but definitely send them a message. I'm interested in that too.
Right. I mean, if you search VOGL preferences in Google, my YouTube video actually is the first result. That's awesome. But I'm definitely interested to find out how
Uh,
he got the text so big is one thing that's awesome, but also that it's showing his cores and all that other stuff.
It's
Uh,
definitely GLX OS. You ever heard of GLX OSD uh, space minus minus Steam blah blah blah? There's a command apparently that launches this thing
Oh,
according to the
where's it?
comments. And I don't know if it's built into the game or if this is something that's Steam related. Looks like it's Steam related because it looks like some type of launch option.
part of the
What
reason why
page? What page are the comments on that it says that?
Just scroll down to the bottom. You see the comments? It's on the third page of the comments. His
Oh,
name
third
is
page. Okay.
Stan. Last comment actually.
Oh, go ahead, Atomic. What were you going to say? Fill in the
Oh
gap
yeah.
here.
You mentioned that he's got the text very large in the screenshot. Well, the screenshot is natively sized. He was running at 720p, so that would tend to make the text look larger than at 1080p.
Ah, okay.
720p. That's that peasant stuff.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So there is another app. I guess I misspoke when I said that VOGL Perf was the only app for displaying frames per second of an OpenGL Linux game. There's also this app called GLX OSD, and it's a OSD stands for on-screen display. For those of you that don't know, it's an on-screen display for OpenGL applications running under the X Windows system. X is Xorg. For those of you that aren't familiar with Linux, Xorg is basically the application that handles the visual, aspects of the system. That's really cool. I didn't know that I didn't know that GLX OSD was around.
Yeah,
How did I
now the
not?
question is how
Interesting.
hard is it to get it to work? Because that's always
Right.
the next thing. There is a GitHub for it though. I just looked,
I know. I'm reading the
and
GitHub. Yeah, and it
a
doesn't look to
PBA.
be. It doesn't look any more difficult than how I installed VOGL Perf. You just building apps from source code. You guys. I mean, I'm not talking to Osiris and Atomic. I'm talking to the viewers now. But building Linux apps from source and compiling them and installing them, it's not as scary as you should be led, or that you're led to believe. Somebody says, "Oh, you got to find the source code, and you got to compile it for your system, and you got to install it." Really, guys, it's usually just three simple commands. It's you first you want to install the tools that are used to compile the code, and that's usually just build dash essential, and that will install the various compilers and all this other software and applications that are used for compiling code, and then once you do that, then you just need to make sure you have all of the dependencies installed for whatever you're trying to install. So there's certain packages that the game or whatever application you're trying to install, there's certain applications that it depend on for it to run. So when you're compiling the code, it'll error out and say, hey, you're missing this library. I can't compile this game for you or this software for you because you're missing this library. and then you got to do a little bit of research, figure out what exact library it is for your Linux distribution, and then if you're running a Debian-based, it's just usually sudo apt-get install, whatever libgl1-mesa-dev, whatever library is missing, you install that, and then it's just a simple, make and make install, or maybe it's cmake or make all, or sudo make install. But compiling code from source, or compiling from source code and installing is nothing to be afraid of, guys. I guess is what I'm trying to say to the viewers. If you're newer to Linux and you're comfortable using software that's provided by the repositories, the default Ubuntu repositories, or whatever Linux distribution you're using, and there's a particular app that isn't available to you using those repositories, don't be afraid to seek out the source code and compile it and install it on your system, because that's the only way you're going to become more comfortable and more familiar with your operating system, is getting down and dirty and actually doing these kinds of things, because there's no greater lesson to be learned than real life experience. I mean, the only reason I'm as comfortable as I am on the command line and with using Linux currently today, guys, is because of just trial and error. You try something, you break it, and you have to fix it, or you can't fix it, then you reinstall and you start again. But don't be afraid to try new things. That's the power of, I think, of Linux that I like to embrace, is the fact that you got to get your hands dirty. And it's not for everybody. I will say that. Some people don't want to mess around in the source code, or don't want to get dirty. They just want something real easy and have it work, and that's understandable. But for those of us that enjoy getting down and dirty and messing with stuff behind the scenes and settings and whatnot, I think Linux is a perfect application, or platform for that. Wouldn't you guys agree?
That's actually exactly what I tell people when they ask me. I've been in IT for probably professionally 10 years now, and when they ask me what should I do to get my chops up and learn some stuff, put Linux on your computer. And if you can figure out how to get it working, getting it working is easy, but if you can get all the way around it and figure out custom stuff without asking other people too many questions, then you're on your way.
Right, exactly. Yep. And I mean, I think that's one of the things that maybe isn't spoken enough about, is the community of Linux. I know the Ubuntu forums are an awesome there's an awesome community there that's always available to help you. They have IRC channels for close to live support, for any type of issues that you're experiencing. Chances are the problem that you're experiencing has been experienced by someone else already and has been solved. That's probably 99% of the issues that you'll run into in Linux. They've already been experienced by someone else, and there's either a fix for it already, or it's currently being fixed, by developers or whatever, and it's just waiting to be the fix is waiting to be pushed out, to the repositories. So definitely, if you ever need help with something, you can find me on Twitter, send me a message at Ubuntu Addicted, or send me a tweet, that you're looking for some assistance with something in Linux. I'll be more than happy to try to assist you, or point you in the right direction to get you situated. I don't know about you guys, would you be willing to help new Linux users?
Wow, that's I think that's a necessity as a Linux user. You must help other Linux users. That's what makes it the community that it is.
Right, definitely.
I wouldn't have got where I got without some help, most definitely. And I actually enjoy it. That's basically what my YouTube channel is based off, was Linux how-to. So, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do some help every once in a while. Sometimes posts just don't even get answered in the Ubuntu forums.
Oh, yeah. And then there's their elitists there, too, sometimes.
Well, I mean, if you have a question that doesn't get answered, on the Ubuntu forums, then it's probably a pretty obscure question, or just somebody hasn't read it yet. I mean, how many posts do you really think that you've made, Atomic, that didn't receive any response at all?
I've never posted to the Ubuntu forums before.
More than a dozen.
Really?
I'm talking
That
about
many?
posts that go for over a week.
You probably asked those hard questions, though, knowing you.
Well, wait a second. Are you talking about asking an Arch Linux question on the Ubuntu forums, or what?
No, I'm talking about answering other people's questions that have sat on the forums for over a week.
Oh,
no response.
I misunderstood what you're saying. Okay.
Some people.
Yeah.
There's two scenarios where that happens. When the question is either not like easily answerable, so the forum lurkers who are there who just answer the real quick and easy ones, they can't answer it.
Yep.
Or the answer is just like so easy that the regular users are like, I can't believe he asked that, and they just keep on going. Like if somebody says, "How do you?"
I don't think that case exists very much. That's just my opinion.
I mean,
like I said, if it's that easy to answer, someone's going to answer it, in my opinion.
All right, it might be.
But anyway, I mean, whatever. Yeah. Well, so that was the other topic that I had, was The Witcher 2, seeing improvements in Linux. So that's pretty much it for the topics. Is there anything that you wanted us to talk about on the stream, guys? Just put something in the comments, if you want, and we'll try to answer it. We'll take questions from Twitter, as well. If you tweet one of us.
Well, Gabe Newell says, let's talk about the fappening, but I'm not even really sure what that is, so I'm not going to leave that alone.
Sounds like a movie title.
A bad movie title. We're gonna leave it.
He says the pictures of Jennifer Lawrence with jizz all over her face. I don't
see that trend on Twitter?
I saw the naked pictures of Jennifer Lawrence. I didn't see any with jizz all over her face. I must have missed those.
That might be his pictures.
Yeah, right. You weren't looking hard enough.
The jizz, yeah, all over her face. That's on your screen, Gabe. That's not actually in the picture. I'm just kidding.
So I'm checking the Linux_gaming on Reddit, my go-to Reddit site, and there's some interesting stuff here. Let's see. They got the new Catalyst drivers for Linux that support the new Radeon 285.
Oh,
not that I care about the Radeon 285, but what that usually means is they might fix some old bugs. Maybe if you're lucky.
Yep.
Hey, Atomic, just like you said, Borderlands 2 is showing up in the Linux Steam DB now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got. Feral Interactive. Who are they? It sounds familiar. Feral. Did they make Metro?
I'm not sure. Sorry. Feral.
Can't put my finger on it. It's in my head.
Well, when I do a search for them, it says that they make it says Mac Games Publisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Who does that? Nah.
It says they're a video game publisher for Macintosh and Linux, founded in 1996.
Oh, you know what? They're probably one of those companies who do the ports, the Windows ports, over to Mac and Linux also.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like.
They actually released their first game this past June, and it was XCOM: Enemy Unknown.
Awesome.
Have you played XCOM?
I haven't. I got through the opening scene. That's about it. I have so many games to play. I can't I can't stay with one.
Yeah, I haven't tried XCOM. I have to admit, I haven't tried it. You know what's funny is you click on the Wikipedia for Feral Interactive, and it says the games list. There's like 50 games under OS X, and then you get to Linux, and then there's just 2. That's it. There's XCOM Enemy Unknown and XCOM Enemy Within. So there's only 2 Linux games they've published, But there's supposedly a game developer that publish OS or Macintosh and Linux games.
I mean, when you're
Come on now, they just did their first Linux game in this year.
well, Linux steaming on Linux has only been the thing for what, about a year and a half now. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Well, they only have 46 employees too, according to Wikipedia. I don't know that.
two AAA titles from the same company is a pretty big achievement.
This is true.
So in-home streaming, for some reason, they cut streaming from Linux to Windows. They cut the functionality, but it's back now. And not only that, I know for a fact on Windows that the NVIDIA encoder, the hardware accelerator that uses Shadowplay, also now works with the in-home streaming. So there's no degradation in performance when streaming from your gaming PC. Now, I don't know if that NVIDIA encoder works on Linux, and I would probably doubt it.
I thought I read that ENVNC, or what's the encoder? It's NVENC? Yeah, NVENC, right?
Yeah.
It is capable to work in Linux.
It is.
Yes, but
implementation is
that,
through
yeah,
GeForce.
right, the implementation, right, exactly. That probably hasn't occurred yet. I've been, I spoke to you guys a little bit on Twitter the other day about picking up a laptop. I was looking at that i5. I don't know, it's probably an Ivy or a Sandy, i5 for $299. It's a refurbished unit, and it looked like a pretty decent laptop for $300. I just, it'd be really cool if I could sit in my family room and connect the laptop to my TV and stream, do the Steam in-home networking and play the game. Really the game would be being played on my GTX 760 in the basement. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And it makes Shadowplay, not the Shadowplay, but what's that little thing that NVIDIA has? Can't even think of the name of it. That little handheld device.
The Shield. The Shield.
Shield, there, yeah. It makes that pretty useless. Well, the tablet version at least, because now you can use probably any tablet to get it working in home streaming. Only thing that needs to be powerful enough for in-home streaming is the decoder, the H.264 decoder on the receiving end and your LAN, your network. And it pretty much works on anything. I got it working on an old Athlon.
Wow. Did you guys see that AMD Fire Pro graphics cards have now been used to actually play, like, basically it's just like Steam in-home streaming, but over the network outside of your LAN.
Whoa.
Did you guys see that?
You have to rewind that back to me. What?
Yeah,
what does
it's like
this?
It's like cloud-based gaming.
Who does this?
AMD. With their Fire Pro graphics cards, because those things are beast.
Some Googling is going to be needed, I see.
Here, yeah. I just saw a video about it, and they were using Crysis 3.
Wow.
And there was only like 100 or 200 millisecond delay. If you think about it, that's insane.
They must have a hell of a network, though, to stream 1080p.
Well, no, it has to do with the compression of the Fire Pro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
The graphics card is rendering the game, it's playing the game, and it's compressing the game, to be streamed. And then your client just basically is decoding the video packets, just like Steam's in-home streaming. But it's done over the WAN, not just the LAN.
This isn't exactly new, but it is kind of limited by distance.
Yes, that's true. And I can't even post a link in my own stream. What the fuck?
I'm trying to think of this service that that started doing this like 4 years ago.
Yeah, AMD bought them, I think. If it's the
Did
same
they?
service that you're going to mention.
Oh,
I'm
you
trying.
talking about
V. It starts with a
OnLive?
V.
Is it OnLive?
No.
On Live, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
I'm
one
not
I'm thinking.
talking about OnLive. No. I'm
What'd they buy?
AMD bought somebody else. I'm trying to find. It starts with a V.
While he's looking for
Va-
that, we have another game we
Valis?
forgot.
Valley?
That's a AAA title that's coming out for Linux. Civilization Beyond Earth, which is getting a lot of hype from Civ fans, of course, because not everybody else can be an RTS fan or turn-based strategy fan or whatever they call it. But that's excellent. I always like to see these
I
video
haven't
game titles.
played Civilization at all ever.
It's
I'm
addictive.
not really into RTS type games. I think I'd probably fall the same. They'd fall the same fate with me as MOBA games, where it's just too complex to learn, and I don't feel like taking the time to learn it to play it right. So I just won't even invest any time at all. Have you
I'm
guys
pretty
ever
much
tried
not.
Civilization?
Yeah, actually, I got it from a friend, and I usually don't like those kind of games like Command and Conquer. I wasn't a big fan. I know it's a huge game, especially in the PC gamer world, but I just can't get into them type of games like you say. Same thing about MOBAs. But Civilization 5 comes coded and disguised and like historic lore, lots of interesting things to do. It's not real time strategy. That way you don't have to like feel forced into like making decisions and feel pressure. It's
Okay.
turn based. So I think it's and it's single player, where the other games are usually more multiplayer centric. So I think that, and it's definitely addictive. If you try it once, you'll probably like at least some aspects of it. I wouldn't pay the full price. Catch it on sale. And it's also a direct mirror port from the Windows version, almost, except for whatever DirectX 11 features are obviously in it.
OnLive, man, I don't think OnLive was the service that they just purchased. It was, I thought it was something with a V, and I just watched a YouTube video. Oh, that's where I can find it. I'll go to YouTube and go to AMD because I actually subscribed to AMD's channel while I watched the video because I thought it was a pretty cool video. So all I got to do is go to my subscriptions, go to AMD. Can I do a search for AMD?
You can't search on
Let's
YouTube.
see. Yeah, right. Here we go. AMD YouTube channel. It's got to be their most recent video, or pretty close to it. It's Eureva. EUREVA.
Yeah,
I'll
so
put the link in the
Never
in the
heard of
Google
that.
chat. Here,
yeah, so you're
put
gonna have
the
to
link.
explain what that is.
Well, Eureva is probably just similar, pretty damn similar to OnLive. The video, you
Okay.
can watch the video. I put it in the chat, the Google chat. But basically, it allows them to play a game, on a rig that's could be, miles and miles and miles away. I think I don't know how many kilometers their test was, how far away it was, but the game they were doing was Crisis 3, and, the amount of millisecond ping, or, latency was astonishing, and it all has to do with, the compression, basically, of the Fire Pro graphics card.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
go.
OnLive actually faced a lot of trouble with their rollout because you can't get very far without crossing the line in latency.
Yeah, I think that's more of a, especially in the United States, that's more of a infrastructure problem. Because I've seen people in Europe and different places, like I don't know what you call like Korea. What's that, South, Far
South
East?
Korea.
Those people over there, like they have not only ridiculously high up and down speeds, but the latency is like as low as you can possibly get, like one in many cases. I think our infrastructure is at its limit for sure, especially if we're going to continue in technology, network technology like this type of stuff.
As far as that goes, my ping is usually pretty low to Ubu, for example, or to Google, and uh, Barnacules actually point out that he could drop his ping by like 20 milliseconds just by taking a consumer grade router out of the equation.
Yeah.
And just connecting to a non-routed modem.
But he was also referring to DSL. DSL naturally has lower latency because
I don't understand that. How is that?
Because DSLs can direct all the backbones in the United States are owned by the telcos. So DSLs are actually connected in many cases directly to backbones, whereas cable networks got to go through the cable router to the cable network to the cable main regional area, and then hop another hop. Like the latency on cable can be ridiculous sometimes, just because it's not part of the backbone network. They have their own mini networks.
I don't know if you've ever run a trace route, Ubu, but on cable you can easily go 30 hops or more to get to a site. On DSL it can get as low as 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's
depending
insane
on who you're
but
targeting.
DSL is also much lower than cable as far as speed goes. So
yeah,
fiber optic needs to come, and it needs to come yesterday. It's expensive. It's expensive to roll out, but it's much cheaper to maintain. So what the companies do with the money that the government gave to them to actually roll out this fiber optics, I don't know. But they would have benefited in the long run by just dropping this fiber optic lines and then been done with it. It's not like they're not already raping us for prices anyways.
Yeah, I know, right? I just ran a trace route to Google, and there's 10 hops, according to this trace route.
Yeah, that's still kind of a lot.
10? Yeah.
Especially the Google one. Google's probably like merit over everything in the world as far as the main
right. Main hub.
Yeah.
So wait, so that's 10 hops to get to a main, or wait, what does that mean? It's 10 hops to get where?
To whichever Google server you hit.
Yeah.
Google's server should be 1 or 2 hops at most from a backbone, and that means you're probably getting 7 or 8 hops to a backbone.
Yep. Shoots and grins. Let me see what mine is. Well, it would help if I typed the right commands. Man. I hate the tracer in Windows. Like, it's just slow.
I'm shocked that there is one in Windows, really.
Well, for somebody who's done a good amount of server and network stuff with Windows, you'd be surprised at the amount of tools that are in the command line in Windows that nobody knows about because it's just not advertised because they don't want you to know that it's there. Because you know when they lock down computers and libraries and stuff. Well, if you know those type of things, then it'd be easily to circumvent those security measures. Even shortcut keys can easily circumvent security measures in Windows. It's stupid. All right, so I had 11 hops, and I'm on cable. Time Warner, by the way.
I'm getting a lot of no replies.
Oh, they're onto you.
Yeah, I actually got no reply. Is that the 3 little asterisks? Or what's the no reply? Maybe I'm not sure. I got 3 different hops that actually have nothing. It just has asterisks.
That means I'm thinking that means that whatever router or whatever device that was just didn't.
Oh, it's not
back.
registered. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. There's no domain or IP of it. Gotcha.
I mean, there is, but it's not telling you for whatever reasons.
Wow, one of the places that it stopped at was this big long site, but it's What at the end of it, it's .tbone.rr.com.
I'm not even gonna ask what that means.
So, yeah, the bone, the backbone. I don't know. But it's all rr.com because it's Roadrunner's network, obviously, or cables or whatever.
How many hops do you have on rr.com?
Should be nothing, like 1 or 2.
Let
me do it.
Well, two that the domain is actually registered. One is .midwest.rr.com, and then the next one is tbone.rr.com with the letters and numbers before Midwest and before T-Bone. Those are the only two. Then there's some IPs, but there's no domain listed for those IPs. I could do a who is on those IPs to see. Oh, I don't even have who is installed on this machine. Holy shit.
To Google. So if
mine had too many hops, and it quit after 31.
Holy shit! Yeah, Linux the default trace route only does 30 hops max. Wow. So you got more than 30 hops just to get to Google's server.
From 4 on, they're all saying no reply, so I don't know what's
there's something
going on.
Shady about that. It should never take more than 30 hops to get almost anywhere.
Wow. Well, so anyway, just reading a few of the comments on this AMD and Uriva website, just reading a few of the comments in the YouTube video, people are making the comment that OnLive was such a big failure just because of the latency and that 100 milliseconds is not acceptable. I mean, what would be acceptable? What is the human eye? I mean, the latency, what we're talking about is the amount of time it takes for your input on the keyboard or mouse to actually be affected in the game. Is that true?
Well, the game is more difficult than video latency because the game is getting broadcasted to you, which is going to be an inherent latency. Then you're going to do some actions which didn't need to go back and be registered and then sent back. Then that video needs to be sent back to you what happened. So it's like double the latency for gaming than there is for viewing video.
Sure, that makes sense, right? So I guess it makes sense. These comments are saying how if I'm sitting at my monitor and I'm streaming over the cloud, Crysis 3, and I move to my left, let's say, and pull my trigger. If there's any discernible amount of latency there, that's horrible. I can't imagine that that's going to work.
And the funny thing about latency over networks is that latency in gaming locally on a desktop is still an issue sometimes.
On your own rig, right? That's with the graphics card displaying it real time in front of you. That doesn't have anything to do with the compression that's involved with this cloud-based gaming. Because the graphics card, like I said, it's got to render the game, and then the graphics card has to take all that data, compress it as hard as it can, so that it can stream it at a reasonable rate. And then your computer has to decode that stream visually. That's basically how it works.
I just read some of those comments also. It's funny, it's pretty much a unanimous nope to cloud gaming. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because they don't understand how it can work or how it can be beneficial, or they're worried about like internet cost, or.
Well, I think the latency is their main complaint, that they just don't see it. If there's anything more than 100 millisecond latency, they're saying it's unacceptable.
Yeah, especially in some games, especially in first-person shooters and action games and stuff.
Right. Yep.
I hope they get. I hope they get there at some point. And I don't know about cloud computing, but what would you call it when you have multiple devices that act together to complete a task? Whatever that is, like when they do that Bitcoin mining and they pull those those machines. I think there is a future in multi-processing handling where you don't even need your own personal desktop, and it might be more beneficial to like rent some space or rent a thing, uh, an amount of performance, like similar to what Atomic showed me, where you can rent performance for Bitcoin mining. That's an awesome idea to me. But that's a ways in the future. There's inherent problems with gaming that need to be looked at first.
Actually, I own the equipment technically.
Oh yeah, well, that's
Well,
even better.
yeah, you buy so much hashing power, and if you get up to the point where you have enough hashing power that makes up an actual physical device, you can request that the device be shipped to you so you can run it yourself
Oh wow,
if you want.
that's pretty epic. I like that.
Wait, what did I just miss? What are we talking about?
Everything. You missed everything.
Oh, that sucks.
In a nutshell, you can rent Bitcoining performance on the cloud, I guess we'll call it, since everybody likes to use that word. So
Yeah, you're basically renting like a really powerful rig, right?
yeah. So
And
according to
having to try to make money for you.
Atomic, once you what was it? Once you rented it for so long, or how does that work?
Basically, this is on cex.io. I'm taking Bitcoin that I've purchased with Dogecoin, and I'm taking the Bitcoin and I'm buying gigahashes. And the gigahashes give me however many Bitcoins I get per block found for that amount of gigahash performance. And then what I've been doing is I've just been reinvesting the Bitcoins that I get out of that to buy more gigahashes. Once you get up to a certain point, you could actually cash out those gigahashes for an actual physical piece of equipment out of their server room.
That's pretty cool. Okay.
That's a lot of math. That's why I don't like that.
Dude, you got to check it out. Go to cex.io, Osiris, and just look at it.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, he was telling me about this when I was doing some research on Bitcoin, which I think this idea and way of doing business is great, not just for Bitcoining, but for cloud computing in general.
Right. Yeah.
Like, just imagine if you didn't need to buy a $1,000 rig to play high FPS. You could rent it per month, get the same performance, and then eventually own it. If that's your choice.
That'd be insane, dude. Yeah. I mean, if AMD ever gets this with Uriva, if they get it down to acceptable latency, then I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane.
There's red tape and infrastructure issues and technological issues that definitely need to be considered and looked at. But I think it's mostly human problems that are stopping us from getting to certain points.
Yeah. Well, I think we're coming up on an hour and 20 minutes of the live stream. I think we've kind of talked out what we're going to discuss in this week's podcast. So I think we should wrap it up here. One last thing that I kind of wanted to. I won't even mention it because it'll go into. We'll talk about it next time.
All right.
So, thanks everybody for coming to episode 3 of Linux Tech and Gaming Podcast. That's the name that we have for it right now. Check each of us out on our social media sites. I have all of our applicable links in the description of this video. And hopefully we'll see you next week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll do episode 4. And if you're interested in checking out us gaming live, we all just agreed that I'm going to start my live stream back up on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and that will be at hitbox.tv/Ubuntu Addicted. So we're going to do some Borderlands 2. We've already been playing. We've played that for several months already, and I had taken a couple month break for some personal issues, but we're ready to get back at it. So if you guys are interested in watching us gaming live, some Borderlands, we shoot the shit and have a blast and play some games and have fun. Come to hitbox.tv/Ubuntu Addicted this Sunday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You guys have anything further to add before we end the show?
Yes,
Nope.
try Linux. It's free, and you can game on it now. It's free.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say, Linux is free.
I don't know if I got that point
out.
across.
Yeah, just to make sure Osiris missed that, Linux is free, and you can run it from a CD, a DVD, or a USB stick if you want. Most Linux distributions allow you to run it from those devices without even affecting your main operating system that's installed on your machine. So if you have a Mac, that's newer Mac that has Intel, inside, or you have a Windows PC and you want to give Linux a try, simply check, do some Googling, and what you're going to want to search for is try Linux from a live CD or live USB stick. Those are the Google terms you're going to want to use, like Linux live CD or Linux live USB stick. And there's already Windows and Macintosh applications out there for creating the USB stick or for creating the CD, the live CD or the live USB stick, and it allows you to run Linux right from either the CD or the USB stick without affecting your operating system, so you can play around, test it out all you want without even affecting your operating system. So, and as I said, make sure you check out each of our social media sites in the link below, or in the description below. And that's all we got for episode 3 of the Linux Tech and Gaming Podcast. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you either this Sunday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time or next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Take care, everybody.